Living systems have been around for a few billion years and will be around for many more. In the living world, there's no landfill. Instead, materials flow. One species' waste is another's food, energy is provided by the sun, things grow, then die, and nutrients return to the soil safely. And it works. Yet as humans, we've adopted a linear approach. We take, we make, and we dispose. A new phone comes out, so we ditch the old one. Our washing machine packs up, so we buy another. Each time we do this, we're eating into a finite supply of resources and often producing toxic waste. It simply can't work long term. So what can? If we accept that the living world's cyclical model works, can we change our way of thinking so that we too operate a circular economy? Let's start with the biological cycle. How can our waste build capital rather than reduce it? By rethinking and redesigning products and components, and the packaging they come in, we can create safe and compostable materials that help grow more stuff. As they say in the movies, no resources have been lost in the making of this material. So what about the washing machines, mobile phones, fridges? We know they don't biodegrade. Here, we're talking about another sort of rethink, a way to cycle valuable metals, polymers, and alloys so they maintain their quality and continue to be useful beyond the shelf life of individual products. What if the goods of today became the resources of tomorrow? It makes commercial sense. Instead of the throwaway and replace culture we've become used to, we'd adopt a return and renew one, where products and components are designed to be disassembled and regenerated. One solution may be to rethink the way we view ownership. What if we never actually owned our technologies? We simply licensed them from the manufacturers. Now, let's put these two cycles together. Imagine if we could design products to come back to their makers, their technical materials being reused and their biological parts increasing agricultural value. And imagine that these products are made and transported using renewable energy. Here we have a model that builds prosperity long term. And the good news is, there are already companies out there who are beginning to adopt this way of working. But the circular economy isn't about one manufacturer changing one product. It's about all the interconnecting companies that form our infrastructure and economy coming together. It's about energy. It's about rethinking the operating system itself. We have a fantastic opportunity to open new perspectives and new horizons. Instead of remaining trapped in the frustrations of the present, with creativity and innovation, we really can rethink and redesign our future.
All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Perkins, and I'm going to be your moderator for the day. Many of you I had a chance to speak to or meet with yesterday. Some of you were in the room when I was talking a little bit about our mission at the Institute, working on cradle-to-cradle certification and also the identification of materials for the circular economy. And I think as we watched the video this morning from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, I always get inspired around thinking of all the various angles and systems that are coming into play as we build this new economy. And this morning we're going to be able to talk or hear from three different individual speakers around areas in which design thinking, as well as data, as well as the selection of right materials, both within textiles, food industry, and across all manufacturing platforms comes into play as we build this work. So I'll be around all day to answer questions, and I think one of the housekeeping things that I want to share with you is you have the app. You can type in your questions for each of the panelists, and I have an iPad down here that I'll be looking at them, so when we get to the end of each section, I can track the questions and ask them. So please do. We encourage that participation, and we'll be using the app and its tool for doing the questions for our panelists as well as our speakers this morning. I also want to encourage everyone this afternoon to attend the workshops that are happening. They are listed in the app as well too. The Circular Economy Workshop, the CircuLab, as well as the Innovate Within a Circular Economy Workshop, and I'll have more information about those throughout the day. So with that being said, I want to jump into our first speaker of the day, and I'm privileged to invite Roy Vercoulen to speak with you a little bit about how data and reporting of this work is playing a more increasing role in giving information to designers, manufacturers, and companies around how they engage in circular economy in a way that meets their business goals and needs. Roy has been a colleague of mine. He was at the Cradle to Cradle Products Innovation Institute prior to launching CircularIQ, and we've had a chance to work together and have lots of great conversations on this topic. He comes with an almost decade of experience doing international business in areas that lead to sustainable models, as well as leading into the circular economy. So with that, I'll introduce Roy Vercoulen to start us off this morning. Thank you. All right.
Thank you very much, Louis, for these warm words. I'm very happy to be here, and I've been here for the past 2.5 days, and I must say it has been very inspiring to engage and converse with all of you about this new economy we are working towards. And to me, two important notions have really sunk in the past days. And one is connectivity, which is really not just the boring data type of connectivity, but also connectivity between humans, interaction, contact, collaboration. And the other thing is support systems. To really support this, let's see if this works, yes. To support this connectivity between companies, but also between companies and their customers, and between companies and their supply chains. So I'd like to ask you to, for a bit, imagine a circular future for yourself, and ask yourself, okay, this circular economy, what does it look like? What is it? So please go on and imagine. So I'm wondering, for you, what did it mean? I mean, I can't imagine that you were by yourself, as we just saw in the video, working on your own product. Feels like it doesn't really make any sense in this circular economy that's all about take-back systems, products as services, clean, healthy materials, that you can do that all by yourself, all alone. But another notion, I think, is that probably you had a different idea than your neighbor. So that's another interesting thing about this new economy we need to be aware of, that for each and every individual, there are different aspects that are important to them. So it's also something I'd like to point out. And then the third notion, as consumers, but also from business perspectives, this is not just about washing machines or about light as a service or about airports. This is about all products and materials that surround us. This is about us. This is about human health, environmental health, about working towards restorative and regenerative systems. And yet, if we look at today's reality, it's my notion and my experience that we're all on our individual tracks. So we're working within our company to implement circularity or sustainability, doing EPDs or LCAs or having sustainability certificates, but all pretty much focused on our own organization, on our own product, or maybe on our product portfolio. But there's very little interaction between these different tracks. And I think for this model to really work and to be able to reap benefits on a system level, these tracks need to come together. And it has to be possible for each of us pursuing our individual ambitions to relate these individual ambitions towards system pictures. And for that, connectivity is key. And also support systems. So if we look at trends we see today, then the first thing I'd like to point out is collaboration again. I think with the 7 billion of us, and I know I said this yesterday as well, it's weird that with all the technology we have to connect with each other, it often feels that we're more disconnected than ever. I mean, probably few of us right now know our neighbors if we live in big cities. And still, this is the time where the knowledge of the crowd is crucial to tap into and to use to improve these systems we're talking about. Also, I think the internet is very important. It has been it has been there for a very long time, but it feels that over the past years, we're really starting to understand what crucial role the internet and data and information plays in our day-to-day lives. I mean, it really empowers individuals. It's a system that really creates and fosters togetherness and helps facilitate collaboration in levels that were never possible before. And then another thing is consumerism. Over the past decades, production times have decreased, and we've seen a growing number of products entering the market, and the tempo in which they are being presented and launched was growing as well. And now we see kind of a counter trend establishing itself, where groups of consumers are asking themselves, do I need a new phone every 6 months or every year? Do I need to have an entire wardrobe of clothes and get new clothes every season? So I think for companies that are really betting on the exaggerated end of consumerism, there's also a very important signal for them to catch from these trends, and that is that this exaggerated consumerism is ending. It's not sustainable. And people are starting to get aware of that. So, and this all really brings me to the data aspect. I mean, we've all heard that big data is a trend we should be aware of. We should gather data on an organizational level, through our supply chain, and use that data to inform our decision making. But what data should we use? I mean, data in itself is meaningless. So it's very important, before you start to focus on collecting any data, to think for yourself what data set is relevant. If I look at circularity, at circular systems, and I relate it to my own product, my business, my consumer, my supply chain, what data set is relevant for me? And how do I assure reliability of information, not only within my company, but also in my supply chain? So this difference in the shift, let's say, in focusing on big data towards right data, I think is very important to me. And for the circular economy, this data should not just be about recycling. It's also about materials purity, safe chemistry, reutilization, not creating any water stress, not causing any pollution, managing carbon effectively, and also the social aspects, ensuring that all people working on your products are treated fairly and are not exposed to risks. So this is a very complex data set to collect and to manage, especially if you want to do that throughout your supply chain. So for that, I'd like to show you an example which has been inspiring to me and my colleagues in building our business, and that's Waze. I think if you look at their tagline, there are a lot of there's an important relationship with what we've been speaking about yesterday and the day before yesterday. Togetherness, outsmarting traffic together. I mean, this is a system that taps into the knowledge of the crowd very effectively. Everyone using this software contributes to improving accuracy. And in a way, I think that these are important notions to think about when we're trying to incorporate the circular economy within our businesses. Because we all know how complex supply chains are. And they've only grown more complex over the past years. So being able to tap into new technology and using the internet in an efficient way to collect and gather data from your suppliers becomes more and more important. So we at CircularIQ have created a platform that really allows you to collect data internally and externally in a way that is relevant for you. So we've gathered the indicators and the data points from relevant certification programs related to the circular economy and allow our users to select, to pick and choose the certifications that are important to them, but also the indicators that are important to them, and work on improving data reliability and collecting this data internally and externally, so they can use that information to communicate, not only with their suppliers to improve the quality of products, but also to arrange a residual value, take-back systems, connect, interact, relate with each other to improve and build these systems together. So I really encourage you to think about the information age we are in when you're trying to implement the circular economy within your own business, and try to think very carefully about what ways are the most effective to you to gather the information you need to inform your customers and your suppliers to create circular systems, circular products. So that's it for me. Thank you very much. I don't know if there are any questions.
Show me how this works. If I can figure out the tool, I can see if you guys ask questions. Yeah. I know. Thank you, Roy. Let's see.
Oh, no.
There may not be.
Oh, no.
All right. If somebody can, instruct me on this during the next break, we'll figure it out. But were there any questions that anyone wanted to ask while we've got Roy up here for a moment?
There are microphones also.
Okay, there's also microphones over there. All right. We've got one question? No. Okay.